Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Roll-Wise Show, the show where we play games. And today we're going to be continuing on our saga into the Ironlands, where we are playing the game Ironsworn. Last week and the week before, we had started building a character and building up to our inciting incident. We've actually sworn an iron vow to go on this epic quest to kill the Leviathan, which is troubling our fishing village. So, as we learn to play, as we tell the story, as we do all those kind of fun things, we're going to be playing in a co-op mode, and we're not going to have a DM. Neither one of us is the DM. We're going to be telling the story together. So, Jeff, are you ready to tell a story together?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, so I think what we probably should do is at least just kind of start with recapping who our characters were. The one thing that we did, we kind of whoopsied last time was we forgot to choose assets. So let's explain assets and then explain like what the final form of your character has come to be.
Yeah.
If you want to go ahead first, Jeff, though, I'll go next.
Oh, okay. Well, assets in this game represent your background, your skills, and your traits. So they kind of like lump all those other things that most role-playing systems have. So I have 3 assets. I have a companion, a hawk. My path is Slayer. So kind of a hunter kind of thing. Maybe a little bit more intense than just hunter. And my combat talent is Swordmaster.
Okay. And do you want to kind of describe like your demeanor, what you've ultimately taken the form of in this game?
Yeah, my character's name is Knut Astrum. He's the son of the village shipwright. He does not want to follow in his father's footsteps. He wants to be, kind of heroic like most young people do, outdo their parents. He's a little bit bigger than average build, maybe a little bit stronger from working on ships his entire life. But he looks like most of the village youth, long hair, full of mischief, quick to laugh, wants to have fun. You're not afraid of hard work, obviously, but also finds time to relax and train with the village, the old swordmaster in the village.
Okay, sounds good. And so, are you done?
Yeah,
perfect. Okay, so I'm his faithful companion in this journey that we're taking to slay the Then I feel like 2 people is probably going to be a few too many, or a few too few. There we go. A few too few.
It feels like like we may not have enough to get it done, but maybe if we can find the trident or the spear, the harpoon, whatever we're looking for. I forget.
The Abyssal Harpoon was the suggested plot hook.
Maybe if we find that, then the rest of the village can take over from there. Maybe we'll see.
Maybe the Abyssal Harpoon is giant, and we have to have the village build us an enormous ballista and then lure the thing in. Who knows?
We have to invent steam power and then get a train to transport it.
Something like that. So the character I'll be playing for this journey into the Ironlands is Aelfred Vrak. Because he was a wanderer and kind of found his way to the village kind of by himself. People thought he might be a vagabond and all those kind of things. And really what he did is he worked the sea fishing with other people as kind of an extra hand, trading time and effort and work for food and shelter and stuff like that. Therefore, he earned the name around the village Vrak as being kind of a wreck of a man, but still within the village itself. He's unlike Jeff's character Knut, who has an idea of being heroic, definitely far more practical, seeing that he already lived in the harsh lands by himself and made his way finally to a place of some safety and security, has a roof over his head and food. He's not doing this he's doing this out of necessity rather than out of some desire for heroism or something like that. The sooner this Leviathan goes, the quicker he can be back to his regular life of just trying to survive. He doesn't need any extra hardships. He himself, I took the assets improviser, skirmisher, and wild blood. And so kind of when he's kitted out, he has he's kind of tall, and lean, but definitely a wiry and weather hardened. His time on the fishing boats has meant that he's leaned out quite a bit, and he's a very nimble individual. But he wears kind of standard clothes like tunics, layered linen, and of course whatever seal leather type scraps that he can put together to have warmth outside of the village. But the one thing he has kind of from his past life is he has a weathered leather cord around his neck. There is some kind of jewel inside the middle of it, but it looks like it's just probably a stone of some sort. And he's never really mentioned or explains to anybody what that is. That's part of his narrative equipment rather than assets.
Okay.
And so people following along at home that don't know like what the assets do and everything like that, and improviser tends to be able to cleverly find solutions to supply and stuff like that, and you can roll plus wits instead of plus supply to check your gear. It's kind of like just a mechanical advantage there. The skirmisher thing is kind of a spear talent. So when I'm equipped with a spear, it allows me to face danger a little bit more effectively. And then with wild blood, when I'm out in the wild, facing danger, securing an advantage, or gathering information, I can use knowledge of tracking woodcraft and woodland creatures to add +1. And I kind of attribute that to my life getting up to the village, is surviving on his own in the Ironlands. So no real monsters per se, but still had to find food, which is
yes,
less fun. So I think that so just to kind of recap our vows so far, so Jeff he had kind of made the grand gesture of swearing his iron vow to eliminate the Leviathan. Now in this game you swear on iron. It could be an axe, could be a sword, all that kind of stuff. And I believe, Jeff, what did you swear on for your iron vow?
I honest to God don't remember last week. It's been that long.
That's been a long time.
I think it was probably just on the.
Well, your sword's been a sword makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
probably the sword that I got from the sword master who got killed. That was probably what I swore on. I just. Yeah, we'll go with that.
And out of curiosity, with your connection to the sword master and the sword in this land of semi myth and fable, did your character somewhat feel a connection to the old gods as he made this swear on iron for our epic quest?
Yeah,
epic vow.
I think the belief is there, and so when you swear and you mean it, I think you feel it. So
okay,
yeah, Knut definitely felt it.
Yeah. So Knut and Aelfred are on a quest. So now I think that's now is the start of our quest. So in this game, that uses moves. Anybody familiar with things like Powered by Apocalypse games and all that stuff, it's going to sound fairly familiar when we do that. We're not familiar 100% with all the moves, so if we miss a move that we should have used and you have played the game and you would want to help us get better, please let us know in the comments down below. We'd be curious to hear your feedback and thoughts as to what we can do to improve this type of co-op gameplay, because it seems very exciting so far.
Yeah.
So I think the first question is as I was looking at the different moves and everything like that, did you have any moves that stood out to you as to where to start with this?
We need some information to see if the village elders, maybe anybody in the village, really knows the location of the harpoon.
Okay. All right.
Any stories or rumors or fables or anything.
Okay, so So there is a gather information move. And so when you search an area, ask a question, or conduct an investigation, or follow a track, you roll plus wits. If you act within a community or ask questions of a person who you share a bond, add +1. So I assume that would be a +1 for this.
Yeah.
And so on a strong hit, you discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow or action you must take to progress is made clear. Envision what you learn and take +2 momentum. Weak hit, envision what you discover, take +1 momentum. And on a miss, pay the price. So that's going to be fucking awesome.
Sweet. So I'm going to roll a d6 +2, right?
Yeah, so d6 +2 for your wits, +1 for the, or unless your wits is +1. I don't remember.
It's +1.
Okay, so then
Wits is
+2 because
+1.
of the
Right.
community that we're from.
And then 2d10, or I just do the d6 plus.
Yeah, you do d6 plus your number, and then you roll 2d10 and see what your, what your action dice equals versus your challenge dice.
I got a 6 on the d6 and a 9 and a 2 on the action dice. So that sounds like a weak hit, right?
Yep. So that would be considered a weak hit. So, and just so everyone's a recap of the rules, you have 2 dice that are your d10s, those are comprised of your challenge dice, and then you have 1 d6 plus stat plus other modifiers, which comprises your action dice. So when you roll your action dice, you want your action dice to exceed the challenge dice in order to be considered successful. If it's equal to or below that is considered a miss, and the action dice win. So if both are above it, that's a strong hit. If one is above it, that's a weak hit. If none are above it, that's a miss. So we're at the weak hit stage, which would be the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. Envision what you discover, ask an oracle unsure, and take +1 momentum. Okay, well, this is interesting. So it complicates our quest or introduces a new danger. What does that speak to for you? If you have something before we go to the oracle, I'd rather go with your gut or my gut first.
It sort of sounds to me like the harpoon lies either on the other side of a lava pit, or, like the journey is dangerous, or whoever currently owns it is unlikely to allow us to use it. So we'd have to steal it or something like that.
Okay. So, all right. So there's the complication is it's held by an unfriendly party, or it's unfriendly party or dangerous location. What do you want that to be fleshed out now, or do you want that to be still kind of mysterious?
I think I'm fine fleshing it out now. Like, I'm sure the journey is going to be a certain amount of danger anyhow. So maybe the unfriendly party is a better thing, and we have to, we either have to convince them or steal it, or
so
either like that.
Beat them up, convince them, or steal it.
Yeah, it could be the leader of a larger settlement that sees us as a rival, and if our village gets attacked, he doesn't mind. I don't know. Could be a magical creature, since magic is so dangerous in our world.
Okay.
Could be I don't know. What, you got any ideas?
Well, I like where you're going with that, and I think that I think if we went the first world creatures and everything like that, that seems to fall in alignment with me a little bit.
Okay.
Because there is a piece of me that goes, okay, well, the original premise about this quest was that that the Abyssal Harpoon, an old world artifact said to have carved from the bones of a long dead sea god. Is this so? That seems to me to be interesting enough to take it to one of the firstborn types.
Yeah, I would agree.
So there are 5 firstborn that are at least expressly talked about in this book. There are the elves, giants, primordials, the vestigial spirits of long forgotten gods. There are the trolls and Varou, which are the humanoid beings that dwell within the deep wilds of the woods or hinterlands, and they're kind of like werewolves kind of thing. So of those 5, firstborn races, does anyone seem like a natural place for that type of thing to be?
Honestly, my first thought is giants, but I don't know if I want.
Ah, I'm not gonna lie. Giants is where I went to.
Okay, that is where my brain first went, and then I'm like, oh yeah, 2 teenagers, giants, sure, this is gonna go
Trying to
well.
trying to steal the
Oh, we
the
don't have
because
to. We just have to convince them,
Mhm.
and maybe pay a price. You know what I mean. I don't know what the price is. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay,
They may
so
let
this is
us use it, and then we may have to become part of the giant village.
maybe. So here's what we know about giants. So let's see if this first one fits
Okay,
your thing. And if it doesn't, we
sure.
can always change it. So giants are dark-haired and ruddy skinned. They're twice the size of a tall human or more. They wear layers of wool, hide, and furs. They're stoic and observant. And they dwell in the Tempest Hills and the Veiled Mountains, and they live a nomadic life alone or with small family units herding oxen, mountain goats, and sheep. And their own language is called the Jokul. Many Ironlands misinterpret their quiet nature for dullness, but giants are keenly intelligent and observant. They have a great respect for life, even our kind, and use trickery and negotiation to avoid fights. That seems like the most awkward place to get one of these spears, but it would be really funny because it's like, oh, that you want to take this spear, which we kind of revere as a familial treasure, and kill something with it.
Yeah, maybe.
Does that sound like an interesting?
Well, it sounds interesting. Yes, it definitely sounds interesting. It seems complicated, but interesting.
Mhm.
Because if they don't like killing things and respect all life, they may not see the Leviathan as the problem that we do.
It feels like it feels like that's probably true. That would present, I think, from a story perspective, that would present one challenge that would be a little bit different than, say, elves or Varou, who I feel like would be the most. They would have motivations most closely resembling ours, right? Um, if I
Theoretically,
theoretically, right? So yeah, I mean, giant still sounds very interesting and definitely different, but I don't. It doesn't feel like they would have like a stronghold or a keep. It would seem more like a family heirloom or
yeah, we'd
something
have to
like
hunt
that.
them down. Yeah, why don't you hit me with the Varuu description?
So the Varou
I don't know
are
why
dangerous.
I'm avoiding elves.
They're elves. So they're humanoid beings who dwell in the deep wilds and in the woods of the hinterlands. Their features are fierce and wolf-like. They are broad-shouldered and a head taller than the average Ironlander. Their long hair is ornately groomed and decorated with beads and other trinkets. The Varou value territory above all things. They often war amongst themselves and against the elves to gain or defend holdings. They mark their claims by carving clan symbols into trees. Only the foolish ignore the warnings of these border signs. Several of our settlements built too closely to Varou territory are now abandoned ruins bearing the mark of a victorious Varou clan. Hmm. That sounds fairly dangerous.
That seems very dangerous. That seems almost more dangerous than the trolls. I'm assuming, but the trolls may be worse.
The troll. So of the different creatures, right? So each one is going to have
Sure.
um, a rank. Trolls are formidable. Um, Varou are dangerous. Primordials are extreme. Uh, Giants are extreme, and elves are dangerous.
So it
So if you
seems like trolls or elves.
trolls and elves would be I think the least, just in, like, if you were to fight one, they would be the least. But I feel like trolls, it would be interesting because I feel like trolls are more like they collect objects of all sorts, particularly value Ironlander trinkets. So I feel like the troll would be your kind of golem analog for this story, you know,
Only
because
bigger and tougher.
yeah, bigger and tougher. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as dangerous as the other things, because when you look at your character sheet, you'll see that formidable, or which one were they? They were formidable. So they were kind of in the middle, I guess, because it goes dangerous, then formidable, then extreme. So giants were on the upper end of the the difficulty
Right.
curve. Elves and something else, and Varou were on the lower end of the difficulty curve. At least, just speaking generally, right? Their
Yeah.
rank.
I don't know what's kind of hitting you.
Um, I think if I were to choose between trolls and giants based on their disposition, I feel like the troll would be the better
All
secret
right.
keeper. Like that. I feel like the hoarder of secrets would feel more appropriate in that realm. Some troll that's had this long standing thing in its hovel or something like that, it's secret. That sounds about right. But I think if I wanted to go with a more like traditional, I feel like Varou would be my next choice if I was to like, well, we have to brave the Varou lands. Um, that like, and basically come to terms with these scary warriors who apparently have something called the Blood Call. Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, the quest is already epic.
hmm
So,
And I feel like going against a Varou clan would be harder than a troll hermit, because it doesn't seem like the trolls. Um,
villages.
yeah, they are solitary creatures wary of contact with Ironlanders and but likely to attack if scared or provoked. But I don't even know how you'd really learn of a troll that had that in that scenario. There was once rumors of a troll.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. We may have to try to go where the trolls live and talk to
Mhm.
different trolls.
Hmm. And I don't know. I think that interests me less than the Varou somewhat. Because I could also see the Varou like taking spoils of war from something and having that as a
No,
trophy.
yeah, no, the Varou could if we knew that a certain clan had it, but that doesn't mean that they still do because they war with each other constantly.
hmm
They probably raid into each other's settlements at times and potentially steal stuff, but that whether it's harder or easier, it's still supposed to be an epic quest because this is a quite a creature we're trying to kill.
And the good news is that if we went with, because we're on the Ragged Coast, right? That's where we
Yes.
decided we're at. The good news is that the Deep Wilds is like next door neighbors to the Ragged Coast. That's where the Varou are typically seen.
All
So
right, let's do the Varou.
okay, all right. So we know who it is. We know that we've heard rumor that the what do you think happened there? Do you think it was one of those things that it was like originally it was an old world weapon carried by the Ironborn into the Ironlands and everything like that? It originally protected the village, but it was raided by and stolen by the Varou. Kind of one of those chieftains who expanded their territory too large and
Yeah, whether it was our village or another village, we can, for sake of simplicity, let's say that it was ours. But yeah, that it was lost. I don't know, years ago in a raid, in a battle with the Varou.
okay. Because we'd gone too close to what they considered their lands. Fair enough. Okay, so what do we have here? Moves, gather information. Compli- okay, envision what you discover and take +1 momentum. So add +1 momentum.
So I have 3 momentum now
Well, you did
because we
you
started
did
off
the
with 2.
correct, but you did quest
Oh wait,
move,
no, I
and
have
you got
4.
you got +1 for the momentum you did with your original quest.
Yeah. Okay, so 4. All right.
Mhm. Since you made the Iron Vow and I just tacked on, I didn't take a +1 momentum for that. I just said, "I am here for you, friend."
Okay.
All right. So, ooh, what if this was the complicated part here? Is that basically, as our village, originally our village was much larger and it was a prosperous, prosperous in terms of Ironlander things. But
Mhm.
we had family settlements and everything like that had gone towards the deep wilds and everything. And what if we had originally that abyssal spear was something that was placed in the great hall? It kind of protected our village, but as part of a sacrifice for peace, we gave them that kind of protective artifact, to ensure that we that we brought peace to our lands, but at the same time promised to not go into the deep wilds again. And now that's the taboo we have to break, is to break our blood oath of a generation past. Mm. There's some complication for you.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I like that.
That's complicated. Definitely complicated. All right. Okay. So notes from the session. So I think the one of the this kind of game requires a lot of notes.
Yes.
Okay. So first. Uh, okay. Okay. Sounds like we just added a lot to our epic quest. Moving on.
Yep,
So
there we go.
I was a little bit confused by this, and maybe this is just one of those things that you kind of play it by ear a little bit. Is that you effectively select how many waypoints um, you want to travel when making adventure moves. So, like, and I'm sure that there's a progress thing, and basically you're filling a progress track as you
Mhm.
adventure, and eventually you hit reach your destination progress move to roll the dice and compare your progress, and you know
Right.
whatever it is. Only add filled boxes, those with 4 ticks, and so basically we have undertake a journey, um, reach your destination, gather information. So yeah, so that would be, I think that would be what we'd want to do. Is at this point we would say our goodbyes, make sure we have our supplies and all that kind of stuff, and then undertake a journey.
Yeah, I think so. Right?
Yeah. So I guess from your character and everything like that, who do you think you would say your deepest goodbyes to? Like, make sure that you wish well in case
Mhm.
you never saw them again.
My parents and my siblings. Now that the sword master is dead, that he would have been included as well, but at this point, my family
Okay.
and any extended family that is in the village. There's probably some, right? Somebody's got an aunt or an uncle.
Oh, of course. I would assume that if you have a family of any size, you would probably get them together and all those kind of things.
Yeah. How about you? Who are you saying goodbye to?
Well, it's just a few of the lads that went fishing with and everything like that. Because as we discussed in the original thing, when the boat was sunk, Solana, the person I was most closest to in the village, was sunk with it. So there's a personal vendetta. I'm not exact as you may guess. I'm not exactly a sociable guy, and as an outcast in a village already, it's more platonic, superficial goodbyes to people, a drink here and there, all that kind of stuff.
All right.
So gear up, get the spear ready, clasp the cloak, tighten the belt, fully supplied.
Yeah, we're fully supplied. So,
and I guess how many waypoints do you think it would take before we reached?
I don't know how long the waypoints are supposed to be, but my brain, with the wildlands being close to, like, we were close enough to war with each other,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't mean you're on each other's doorstep, but it also means that you didn't have to journey for months to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, 2 or 3. How long is a waypoint supposed to?
It doesn't. I mean, it really doesn't. It doesn't really matter how many. It's however long you want to make it, right? So if we looked at the map and we said, okay, well, because they are literally our next door neighbors, and we said we wanted to do 3 waypoints. So this is how the Undertake a Journey move works. The first thing you do is you give your journey a rank, and you decide how far and how hazardous it is based on established fiction. So if you're unsure, we ask the Oracle. Now, we would look at this as being troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, or epic journey. I'd say that this is probably a dangerous journey. That's towards the upper end of it. Or would you consider this a formidable journey, like middle of the pack there?
I think it could be dangerous if the Varou watch their borders as tightly as we've heard. It might, once we get closer, it gets worse. Where they don't expect to see our people.
Okay.
Because of the treaty or whatever we had with them. Agreement.
Okay. So, and interesting, I think. Well, so this would be interesting. So, what it seems like what you do, two progress, filling in 2 boxes for each track and waypoint. When you have accumulated enough progress, you are ready to make a final push or reach a destination move. Okay, so what it seems like we do is the number of waypoints is kind of like, I don't think we would necessarily determine that up front, because what we do is we would go until we reached enough progress in our bar to basically say reach our destination and make the reach our destination move. So basically if I was to meta game this a little bit, is to say that every time you succeed on like a strong hit or a weak hit, you get to 1 waypoint. And so if you imagine like your progress per way, you get 1 progress per waypoint. That would mean that as you build that progress bar, that's going to become your action dice for when you roll your challenge dice, right? So when your journey comes to an end, roll the challenge dice and compare it to your progress. So if you then rolled, because you could hit 1 waypoint, or let's say 2 waypoints, then you could roll snake eyes on the challenge dice and you would reach your destination, right? So the number of waypoints that you hit would give you a more applicable, or make it easier to roll under when you roll the reach your destination move. So that's why it's a little bit confusing. But we can play it out just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? So so you said it wanted to be formidable, right?
I would think as we got closer, it would be formidable, but it's probably, like you said, at least dangerous. Okay,
so why don't we do dangerous just as our first, because it's not unknown to us. There's the relative danger. It's it's more dangerous towards the end, but you never know. Could be dangerous in the beginning
Sure.
too. Do we have a name for this clan of Varou? Like the Blood Claw?
No, I think the Oracle can do that. What do you need? A D100?
Let's see what the Oracle has in mind for us. Oracles.
I think they have something for other names.
Varou, if you do a D100.
D100?
Yeah, I think it just tells you a name, though. Like
91.
Other names. That would be the Dreco.
Yeah, they can be the Dreco clan.
Okay. So reaching the Dreco lands. And would you say that the end of this destination would be what we imagine to be their holdings, like an actual village or something like that?
Yeah, as far as we know them from the interactions years ago, but I'm guessing we haven't had a lot of interactions with them in the years since.
Okay. All right. I wish there was a raise it by one whole tick. Okay. So now, let's say we set off from our village.
Yep.
So we've got our packs. We don't have any horses because we didn't choose companion assets. We've got our packs. We start trundling out of the village, heads held high with purpose and full bellies and full of food in our sacks and ready to go. And then we roll. Do you want to roll or do you want me to roll?
Why don't you go ahead and roll? You haven't rolled yet.
That's because I have terrible luck.
What's the relevant skill on this?
So when you roll undertake a journey, you roll plus wits.
Yeah, so my wits are 1. So your wits have to be better than mine.
My wits are 2.
Or equal.
Yeah, so my wits are 2. So I think that what we could do here is that because my wits are 2, and it's since we share a bond with the community, we could use a +1 on our initial roll. So roll some dice.
Yeah.
+3 plus 2. 10. Okay. Okay, so we're going to our first waypoint. So this is more of an example here. So good. Those were all very low, but luckily mine was the highest of the low rolls.
That worked out well.
So that means that I rolled a 2, but because I have +3, I rolled a 5 total. Now, my challenge dice were a 1 and a 4, meaning that I exceeded both of my challenge dice. So according to the undertake a journey, on a strong hit, we reach the waypoint. If the waypoint is unknown to you, envision it, ask the oracle if unsure, then choose one. You make good use of your resources, mark progress, or you move at speed, mark at progress, take +1 momentum, but suffer -1 supply. Do you want to move fast or slow? Or fast or normal, I guess. I would say normal because I don't.
I would say normal because I think we're trying to watch out for Varou.
Okay. And so now on your progress bar, because we succeeded, we have 2 checks, right? So we have, and so I don't know if you read the part about the ticks, but in each box you have ticks that you earn, and you earn up to 4 ticks per box. 4. But if you mark an entire box, that's 4 full ticks. So now we would have 2 dots on the progress bar fully ticked out. And so that means that our challenge dice, if they rolled under a 2, we would succeed and get to our destination. So if we chose to roll the reach our destination. You could reach it now with just this, but it would be highly unlikely.
Yeah, let's continue, I guess.
Okay, well, first we have to hit our waypoint. So this is the
Oh,
storytelling part.
okay.
Now, if your waypoint is unknown to you, since we're so close to the village, I feel like there's basically a marker that's used for like a day's ride into the whatever what the hell is the place called?
The Wildlands.
Uh, I would think we'd still be in the
I think we'd still be on the coast because
yeah,
we
we'd still be on the
literally
ragged
left
coast.
from the coast. Yeah.
Yeah. So as we still progress into the coast, this is about a day's ride. It's just basically a pile of stones that's obviously very large and notable. Or did you want to have one of our first markers be one of those irregular pillars that are throughout the lands?
No, I think something that our people use probably to call them
Okay.
out, because I don't think most people want to interact with the pillars.
The creepy pillars. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, as we walk through, we see across the hills one of the large piles of stones. Those probably have a special name. What do they? Do you know that? Just like a waystone.
Yeah, the waystone is what came to my head too. We're super creative.
Okay. According to the internet, um, a cairn is a human-made pile of or stack of stones raised for a purpose. Oh, I did not know that. So cairns are often used as areas with rocky terrain or above the tree line to indicate the correct path for hikers. Oh, thank you, AI overview.
Okay.
So we'll call it a cairn. A cairn was erected.
Okay.
Maybe I just misunderstood that my entire life. I always thought it was a burial mound, but
I
apparently
think it's one of those
purposes.
words that has multiple meanings.
Yeah. So basically, a rocky cairn has been erected by our people that kind of shows the outer limits of what we typically range out into the ragged coast. But I know it by heart. I've come out here many a time, apparently, kind of catching small game and stuff like that when I'm not doing so well in the fishing. And time to sleep next to the rocky outcropping. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And because it's a strong hit, it doesn't appear as though we'd really have any trouble or anything like that. And there's not like really any a perilous event or anything. So, okay. Now,
so we got to take off one of our supply.
No, we don't, because we traveled at a regular thing. That meant that I since I didn't take the asset sling or anything like that, I assume that I have a sling that I use just for catching rabbit or small other fauna, or we pick berries, kind of like, you pick what you gather as you go, I'm assuming, in this kind of situation, so that your supply isn't affected. So, and I'm posting just what the image looks like in there, just so you can kind of see how I'm using the character sheet that I've got. Okay.
Yeah, that's what mine looks like.
Okay, perfect. So in the night, having slept on the ground many a time, it's not unusual. And since I'm a young man of my age of 20, not an old man like I am right now, if I slept on the ground, fuck.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be good in the morning.
No. Okay. Any particular rituals your character has in the morning? Besides stretching?
Probably some sword forms and stuff. A little bit of training.
I raise an eyebrow. I start popping some berries.
There's spear forms as well. You have a spear. You can do your thrusts and parries and.
The only thrusting I do. Only when necessary. Moving on. So, okay. So you're doing your sword forms. I'm grabbing a small bit of breakfast. And I think you can take the next leg of the journey.
Oh, you want me to roll? My rolls.
If you want me to roll these parts, I can. It technically, it's just a +1 difference. So
D6 +2.
Plus Well, because we're away from the village. Is that +1 because your wits is 1 or +2? Because
Oh no, we lost the village, didn't we? So it's
we did.
+1.
Mhm.
1d6 +1 +2d10.
Oh,
I got a 5, and the two 10s were 3 and 3. So, I mean, I got a 4 +1 is 5. So we were wildly successful again.
so it seems like while we're in the lands that we know, things are going quite well. Now, of course, the first thing is we reach a waypoint. What is the waypoint that you envision? One additional day away from the village, or if you need, we can ask the oracle if you're unsure.
I think as we get to 2 days from the village, we start to see the end of the rocky shores, you know, and the lands that where people hunt and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and start to be on the edge of the wildlands. It's kind of my idea where the danger ratchets up.
Okay, sure, sounds good to me. And now, because you hit a strong hit, we make good use of the resources. You can take the progress and no loss of supply, or you can take the progress +1 momentum and suffer -1 supply.
Let's just not lose any supply yet.
Okay. All right. So taking a moment, what kind of weather do you think we have in this part of the world? Just out of
I think it
curiosity.
rains a lot on the coast.
Yeah.
Like maybe not, like for days on end, except probably during storm season. But
Mm,
I think it rains probably some almost every day.
yeah. So there's just kind of a constant muck that you're having to deal with, where you can't ever seem to
Yeah.
get fully dry.
No, I think you probably do, like when it warms up after the storm. But
Yeah.
I think we probably, travel with cloaks of some kind because we're used to being out in the weather.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking sealskin was going to be our
Could be. Sure.
or something equivalent. I mean, you need waterproof. It's a necessity for you, right? Okay. So so the weather is kind of, what is that? Unpredictable. Rains here and there. Everything's got kind of there's mossy texture on everything with all the humidity
Yeah.
and water in the air, and
Oh yeah.
everything's kind of got a
Definitely.
little bit of a slick mud feeling when you're walking in the dirt. All right.
Yes.
Well, since we're still on travel rations and everything like that, I gleefully bite into my freshest piece of jerky.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm doing whatever looks like the toughest, and just let it kind of sit in my mouth and let it rehydrate.
Yeah, and obviously, the berries that we collect along the ways and everything like that. Cook up a small hare, I guess. That was our dinner and breakfast. Jerky, small rabbit, berries.
Berries. Sure. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Do you think we
Some
were smart enough
plants
to
that we've
think we were smart enough to boil water, or do you think we just drank it and hope for the best back then?
I think back then it wasn't as deadly, but
we were
maybe it was.
we were tougher. I feel like like the Oregon Trail screen just popped up in my brain for some reason.
You
Get
did,
dysentery.
yeah.
Oops.
Think we would know, like, if our people regularly boil water, because, like, we probably actually drink some seawater. We probably boil it,
Mm-hmm.
to one, get salt, and then two, then you get the salt out of the water. It still doesn't taste great, but it doesn't, make you sick like salt water does.
Yeah.
So I think we have some ideas about boiling water. So if that's what we need to do, I think we probably do, and then fill canteens with that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of these streams are coming out of eventually coming out of the mountains, heading towards the sea.
Okay.
If we encounter any, I don't know. Depends on how much. If the
I think
Varou don't get you, the mitochondria will, right?
maybe
The
the balance.
bacteria are in the Leviathan.
The powerhouse of the cell. I think that's.
Yeah.
The microbes will get you, maybe.
Yes, microbes. Yes.
Okay. So then, okay. So the waypoint we've reached is kind of that you can see the wildlands in the as we're getting close. We know we're traveling across that coastal region, which seems to be fairly easy to travel upon. If I were to guess, I mean, just kind of walking through the grasses and the small copse of trees or whatever, make their way there. Because at this point, we're going inward into the land.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we want to rotate off, and I'll make the next.
Yeah, I think we need to start being careful as we head into the territory of the Varou.
Okay. So I'm going to undertake a journey, and I'm going to roll some dice. 6 plus 2 plus 2d10. Oh, okay. So in this case, I'm going to roll on the Oracle to tell us what kind of location we come to, and then
How does you got a tie on one of the action dice? So how does the tie work in the game?
it goes for the game's favor. So the house wins in a tie. So in this case, I got
Okay.
a weak hit only because I rolled a 6 and got a +2, meaning that I got an 8 total, and my D10 challenge dice were an 8 and a 2, meaning I only exceeded 1. Good time to be alive. All
So
right,
we succeeded 1, so we've filled in 5 boxes on the journey.
that'll be 6 boxes because I decided it was a dangerous journey. We decided that, right? Or did we decide it was a formidable journey? I thought I took it down a level because
I thought we did dangerous.
Okay.
Okay,
So that
we
means
we're at 6 boxes then, even with the weak hit.
Yep, because we
Okay.
still mark progress, but with the weak hit, the difference being is that you reach a waypoint and mark your progress, but suffer a -1 supply. So now
Okay.
we actually don't get a choice in the matter. We lose.
It just
one
actually
supply.
goes down to okay. So
Mhm. And supply, for everybody that remembers the first time we did this, is important because if you get to 0 supply, you start fucking dying pretty quick, I guess. So that'll be your end of your journey much faster than a lot of other things. Okay, so I'm going to roll on the Oracle table because I kind of want to see, have it kind of generate for me
okay.
a location. So in the book, there's an Oracle table that's 176. And I'm going to roll a D100. And I rolled me an 82. That's hilarious. Somehow I found a coast of something.
Interesting.
Now, do lakes have coasts? A coastline?
Lakes have shorelines.
Is a shoreline an option?
Okay. Yeah, maybe. It's our story, right?
Okay, well, there's 2 ways to do things here. So, because coast makes a lot less sense, especially since we've been succeeding, I would hate for us to have
Circle around.
circled around on accident because we weren't failing so far. So it seemed like we should be making progress towards our destination. So I'm going to flip those two. Since I got it at 82, I'm going to make it now at 28, and I'm going to choose a ravine.
Okay.
A ravine
makes a little more sense.
Okay. Okay. So in this case, I would assume that the ravine is going to be an actual challenging thing for us to overcome. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily how these oracles are intended, but I kind of imagine, this kind of thing when we start getting here. It's almost superstition plays along with this a little bit. We're on our journey, everything's going so well, and all of a sudden we come to this ravine, and it is just a cleft in the earth, a deep scar, that is basically like, go no further. You know what you did. So it's like the ravine plunges like maybe a few hundred feet even down. A call, like basically it goes a few hundred feet down, even possibly. It's kind of like hazardous loose rock next to the edge. As you stand close, pebbles and stuff, fall off, and you can kind of hear them clicking down the side. And so yeah. So in that type of situation, I wonder what that would mean. Okay, so I feel like that could be a face the danger move.
I think it could be, sure.
Okay.
Definitely feels that way.
All right. So face danger is that when you attempt something risky or react to an imminent threat, envision your action roll. If you act with speed and agility or precision, roll plus edge. With charm, loyalty, or courage, roll plus heart. With aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, or endurance, roll iron. With deception, stealth, or trickery, shadow. And with expertise, insight, and observation, wits. So the question is how far across do you think this ravine is? And do you think it would be something that, I mean, personally, I would just like, if it's not too far and you envision it being kind of a short thing, I would just roll over and try to jump over. And then, of course, set a rope and then try to have you make your way over that way.
Sure. That's fine. Works for me. Okay. I like that. But, is not too far over like the 6 or 7 feet that you could broad jump, or is it 15 feet, which even with a running start, some people couldn't do? Some people definitely can. Like, I think the furthest a human's long jumped is like 27 feet. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's let's see. Well, oracles are our friends sometimes.
Okay.
So let's see. The oracle says an action oracle. No, that's not the one. Theme. No, there's an oracle that's basically like, so you basically ask the question, is it a, is this something that we could leap over, and then you would roll the D100 and it would be like, okay, well, yes, you can leap over it. And I don't remember the name of that oracle though. Because I thought that there was a.
All right, just to give you some hope, the world record for humans in long jump is 29 feet 4¼ inches.
Well, I happen to be a fairly.
So if you are,
I happen to be a fairly good long jumper, because basically there's a. Almost certain. I think that's what it is. Gosh, I wish I would have kept this oracle somewhere handy.
Yeah, we're new to the game, so it's playing a little bit slower than people who have played before.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm
still having
weird.
fun.
Yeah, I just thought it would
action theme.
Okay, ask the oracle. Here it is. So when you seek to resolve questions, discover details in the world, or determine how a characters respond, trigger an event. So draw a conclusion. So the question is the ravine close enough, or is there a like? Because it could also be that it's, even though it's farther away, it could be different heights, and we're starting from a taller leap and kind of parkour.
There's a way to get across. Yeah, sure.
And so in this case, I would say it is, let's go with, so 50-50. So if it's almost certain, that's 11 or greater. If it's likely, that's 26 or greater. If it's 50-50, it's 51 or greater. Unlikely, 76 or small chance. Are ravines typically very large? I thought ravines weren't necessarily huge, but
I don't think they're necessarily huge. But the ravines are smaller than caverns and, or canyons and not as deep, right?
okay.
I don't know what the specific geological definition of a ravine is, but in my head.
So between several feet and several hundred feet.
Wow, ravines can be huge. All right, there we go.
Okay, cool. We're not going to go with a grand ravine. Let's give us on the unlikely phase. Something that we would have to find another way to jump to traverse this instead of just simply jumping.
Yeah, ravines deep and narrow is what is the thing I keep seeing.
I always thought it was too, but maybe there's just a
larger than a gully, smaller than a canyon, if that helps you.
No. So it was unable to be jumped based on initial guesses.
Okay.
So now I think we have to find a way to get around this, get around or get across this ravine. Is there a way to? Oh, is this something that people transverse regularly? Did somebody else or natural thing cause either tree fall or there to be a bridge?
Yeah, there could be. We would have to pick a direction though and head in it, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. Okay, moves. Okay. So, there is if the idea, so which would be what do you think would be interesting? Do you think this would be a good time to introduce the presence of the Varou, and maybe they have a way across this small ravine that they've created, and it's got like the Varou symbolism and stuff like that? That kind of, it's like trespassers beware kind of thing.
Yeah, we could find a bridge that they have marked, because they carve stuff into tree trunks, right?
Yep,
And the tree bark.
Basically, so like a rope bridge,
if they made a bridge of rope or wood, they could carve their.
Okay. Well, then we're not necessarily jumping across the ravine. We faced a different type of danger. It was going across their bridge and kind of realizing that we're starting to trespass into their territory. So at this point, it would be fair to say that we might be breaking our village's vow right about now.
No, I think it's hard to equivocate. Like the importance is necessitates it, but we are breaking the vow or the agreement or the treaty or whatever it is. Yeah, we are definitely doing that.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we pause this week here as we stare at the threshold into the Varou territory, or possibly the Varou territory? It has been marked,
facing the consequences of our decisions.
Yeah, this is our threshold of final. We decide if we're truly going to go through with this this journey. So with that, we hope everybody enjoyed this next leg of the journey as we hunt for the Abyssal Spear and we break some vows to do it. We made a vow to break a vow. Ooh, this will be fun. But of course, if you get to this point, we really appreciate you watching, listening, and of course, if you pop any comments in there, commenting on our content, we really appreciate just getting, enjoying the hobby. It's like making coffee better. if you guys give us some advice, we'll try to follow it. So,
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have any final things before we?
No, just you can find us on most social media platforms at Rollwise. You can email us if you need to, rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
All right. Well, stay safe out there and roll well and roll wise, as Brent says. So we'll catch everybody later. Woo! I don't know where my hand is. Fuck.
Yeah, the box is an error. So thanks.
See ya.